Hi, Power Up here. In this edition, we're going to talk about how non-organic foods are affecting your health. So let me give you a little bit of background. Non-organic foods come with a load of hidden dangers, and they can seriously affect your health over time, from toxic chemicals to gut disrupting additives. But here's why you need to think twice before putting them on your plate. Number one, they're loaded with pesticides and herbicides. Yes, most non-organic foods are sprayed with synthetic chemicals like glyphosate, a known hormone disruptor linked to cancer and gut imbalances. And these toxins just don't wash off. They build up in your body, potentially leading to chronic diseases down the road. Another thing about non-organic foods, GMOs, genetically modified organisms. Many non-organic foods contain GMOs, which are engineered so that the farmer can have bigger crop yields and pest resistance. But are they safe for your body? That's the real question. There are concerns with GMOs include higher risk of allergic reactions, possible digestive issues, and unknown long-term effects on your DNA and cellular health. Another problem with non-organic foods are the antibiotics and hormones, especially in meat and dairy. So conventionally raised animals are pumped with antibiotics and growth hormones to speed up production. And what happens when you eat this meat? Well, you're consuming those hormones, which can mess your body's natural balance and increase your risk of cancer and metabolic issues. And overuse of antibiotics in food can also contribute to antibiotic resistance, making it harder for your body to fight infections. And another thing with non-organic foods, they have very low nutritional value. Yes, when you eat this kind of stuff, it tends to have fewer essential vitamins because of the poor soil quality and the fast growth cycles. Pay attention. And when food isn't grown naturally, it doesn't absorb the same amount of vitamins and minerals your body needs to thrive. So be careful when you pick up these fruit and you see these big, strawberries. They're bigger than the little small ones are better. When you see these big size strawberries and these big, some of them are not like the actual sizes. They're a lot bigger. Be cognizant of that, okay? Chemical additives and preservatives. Yes, that's what's in these processed non-organic foods, because they are loaded with artificial junk like MSG, high fructose corn syrup, food dyes, and preservatives. And these chemicals have been linked to inflammation, ADHD, and metabolic disorders. And some additives, like nitrates in processed meats, are even classified as carcinogens, can cause cancer. So when you have this heavy metal contamination, these crops can absorb heavy metals like arsenic, lead, and cadmium from contaminated soil. And these toxins accumulate in your body and can lead to neurological issues, yes, mental issues, kidney damage, and developmental problems, all right? And let's not talk about the gut health and this disruption in your gut microbe, okay? Many of these chemicals damage your gut bacteria, leading to digestive issues, leaky gut, and weakened immune system, killing off the good bacteria that keep your gut and your overall health in check. And so what happens? You're increasing your risk of chronic diseases. Yes, with all these toxins accumulating in your system from all this non-organic foods, you're now putting yourself at a greater risk of getting cancer from the pesticides, the GMOs, the preservatives. You're putting yourself at a greater risk of having hormonal imbalances because of the synthetic hormones in the meat and dairy. You're giving yourself a higher risk of obesity and diabetes, especially from all the processed food additives. Yeah, it's the stuff they put in the processed foods. And you're putting yourself at a higher risk of developing neurological disorders from the heavy metals and the pesticides, okay? So what can you do? You need to prioritize organic whenever possible because it reduces your exposure to harmful chemicals and it boosts your nutrient intake. You should also think about growing your own vegetables. I'm serious. And even if you can't grow your own fruit, if you could just plant an apple tree in the back or a pear tree, start doing that. Detox your body on the regular. Herbs can help flush out these poisons, keeping your blood clean and your immune system strong. So herbs need to be part of an additional part of your diet. Seriously, it's not just food anymore, especially if you're not eating 100% organic and grass-fed and wild caught. You need to start adding and including herbs whenever possible. And if you don't know what kind of herbs to use, just send me a message, because I have a powerful tonic that's made from 6 different root herbs that not only help cleanse your body, but it helps to purify the blood and protect you from sickness. All right. If going fully organic is not feasible, then we need to start with the dirty dozen. And you're probably saying, what do you mean by the dirty dozen? The dirty dozen are the most pesticide contaminated foods. These are the list of the 12 most fruits and vegetables that have the most pesticides when grown conventionally. And when I say conventionally, I mean non-organic. So we want to look at these 12 congested, toxic, contaminated fruits and vegetables that you need to really focus on making sure you try to purchase these 12 as organic as possible. Okay. So, and I want to also tell you the reason why they're also called the dirty dozen, because they are sprayed heavily with pesticides, and the skin of these fruits and vegetables are very thin. So it's hard to wash them off properly because the chemicals can get absorbed into this food, which means you end up eating it. So let's talk about the 12 most contaminated foods. All right. Again, these are your fruits and vegetables which have the most pesticides. Number 1, strawberries. Super porous. So they can soak up pesticides like a sponge. That's why I say try and grow them. All right. Spinach. This has a very high pesticide residue, plus some chemicals that are toxic to the nervous system. Grow them yourself. Kale, collards, and mustard greens. Yes. These leafy greens hold onto a lot of pesticide residue. Peaches, because their soft skin absorbs a lot of pesticides, so it'd be very hard to wash this off. Pears, often coated with multiple pesticides to keep pests away. Nectarines, similar to peaches. They have a very thin skin, which means that the pesticides gets absorbed into the fruit. Apples, the waxy coating often traps the pesticides. Grapes, they're very nice and delicate and small, but they hold on to pesticides. They hold on to the pesticides residue. And you have bell peppers and hot peppers. Again, thin skin allows the pesticides to stick to them easy and absorb into the food. Cherries, yes, another one. Very soft skin, which means the chemicals can easily get inside. Blueberries, yeah, unfortunately, yes. They retain a lot of pesticides. And green beans. They can contain a mix of toxic pesticides. So what should you do again? Buy the organic version as much as possible. Organic means that they are grown without any synthetic pesticides. Wash thoroughly. Wash them with a combination of baking soda, distilled vinegar, and water. You need to soak these first. I would soak them for a good 20 minutes, swish it around, and then rinse them off, because you want to remove the chemicals as much as possible. But the only problem is that this won't remove the chemicals that have been absorbed inside the food. Peel well possible. And the bad thing is, the peel has the most amount of nutrient. But if you end up buying an apple that's non-organic, I would greatly suggest peeling them, unfortunately. And again, start including herbs in your diet. Because again, if you can only get what you can get and you have to end up getting something that's non-organic, you need to balance this by including herbs in your diet to help to remove as much of the toxins, as much of the contamination from the foods that is now in your body that is causing all this imbalance and sickness. You got to remove it so you can stay as healthy as possible on a regular basis. And again, if you don't know which herbs to use, send me a message. So if you can't buy everything organic, at least prioritize with these dirty dozen foods first so that you can keep the pesticides intake low, all right? But it's not all negative. So let's talk about the Clean 15. Yes, there is a thing called the Clean 15. And this is the opposite. These foods have the least pesticides. So they're the least contaminated foods. And these are the most safest non-organic, yes, non-organic fruits and veggies to buy. Number one, avocados, because the thick skin protects the inside from the pesticides. Sweet corns. Most pesticides don't get inside, but be mindful of GMOs, all right? You want to look for non-GMO sweet corn. Pineapples, the rough skin. This thick skin keeps pesticides out. Onions, these naturally repel pests, so not much pesticides are used. Papaya, the thick skin keeps it safe, but watch out for the GME versions. Sweet corn, especially frozen sweet corn. They're not heavily sprayed. Asparagus, naturally resistant to pests, so it doesn't need that much pesticides. Honeydew melon, yes, the thick skin helps to block the chemicals. Kiwi, the fuzzy skin, acts as a natural barrier. Cabbage, not a bug favorite, so it doesn't need much spraying. Mushrooms, most of these are grown in controlled environments, so very few chemicals are needed. Mangoes, the thick skin keeps the pesticides out. Watermelon, this is another one. The thick rind protects the inside. Carrots, yes, these are not heavily sprayed compared to other root vegetables. And sweet potatoes, these are naturally resistant to pests, so few chemicals are used. So what does this mean for you? If you're on a budget, you don't have to stress about buying everything organic, since there's some that are naturally lower in pesticides. You can wash them as usual without too much concern, but again, I would wash them in the mixture of baking soda, white distilled vinegar and water, leave them in there for 10-20 minutes, swish it around a few times and then rinse it off. But for the dirty dozen, it's best to buy organic whenever possible, okay? And again, start including herbs in your diet as much as possible to remove a lot of these toxins on a regular basis, especially from the contaminated foods. Because if you're going to be eating non-GMO foods, non-grass-fed foods, non-wild caught, seafoods, you got to get into the habit of including herbs so you can remove some of this contaminations, these toxins, these heavy metals out of your body on a regular basis. And again, unless your diet is 100% organic, including grass-fed and wild-caught protein, seriously think about detoxing or purifying your blood on the regular to rid you of these chemicals. I understand, due to finances or wherever you're located, staying clear of contaminated food is not always achievable for everyone. So I want to reiterate that you should definitely start including medicinal herbs as part of your diet, as a necessity, as an addition, because you want to clean your system as properly as possible on a regular basis, even if it's daily, so that you can prevent the inflammation and you can prevent the insulin spikes, and you can prevent all the other attributable chronic diseases that could occur if you just ignore this. And again, if you want more information about what herbs to use, just drop me a comment or a message. So I hope you found this information helpful and interesting, and I want to thank you for listening, and stay tuned for more holistic power up tips. Bye.